With the city growing as rapidly as Murfreesboro, there are a lot of unintended consequences, and homelessness is one of them. Local downtown businesses have had a concern with the growing number of the homeless. Murfreesboro Cold Patrol hosted a meeting to talk about the problem and share some Murfreesboro statistics on the issue. Murfreesboro Cold Patrol is a group that seek out the chronically homeless and try to meet their immediate needs. A recent Facebook post by one of the local downtown businesses began the conversation on the issue.
The reason that we wanted to do this today is because I know everybody kind of wants to figure out how do we help better, because we've seen this problem grow in our city, and so we want to help start the conversation.
This all started with a famous Facebook post. As a business owner on the square, I have become increasingly concerned with the homeless population that are hanging out on the park benches in front of our businesses, on the courthouse lawn, etc. I know these folks are down on their luck or are most likely ill, but the image of this is hurting our downtown area. I have also witnessed teens on skateboards that are damaging others' property, along with those that love to spray paint buildings. I'm interested to know if this group would like to call a meeting with our city leaders and police chief to try to clean up this area in an effort to work together. And so when I first looked at this, my first instinct was, oh my God, we can't run them off. And I realized that it does make our city look bad. Not the people and that they have a problem, but that our city has this problem.
Here are some other Facebook posts that followed the original one.
It would be better if they had a shelter and assistance programs, but Tennessee and Murfreesboro both keep shutting them down or limiting access. That's what's unattractive, people hanging out on the square because they have nowhere else to go. It's a symptom of a larger problem. Maybe find a way to replace the shelter that was shut down. If homelessness is such a problem, the city government should invest in a shelter. With them, many of our homeless suffer with mental illness or have found themselves in a state of hopelessness and no longer know how to start over or who to trust. It's easy to judge when you don't consider that we each have a story. A little compassion goes a long way. Amen. This comes from a lady that stayed in one of our local shelters and is doing really well right now, and she spent a lot of time trying to navigate a hard system to navigate. When you're out there and you've got kids and you're trying to figure out how to make it, it's very hard. But this comes from this particular lady. I walked a total of 13 miles with my 4 children to a mediocre job every day without the need for sidewalks. More transit systems to get people to and from, more jobs that offer better security, more affordable housing or in this case, any affordable housing, career planning, classes that teach how to balance a checkbook properly and understanding loans. These are things I can get behind, not a sidewalk.
Cold Patrol has worked with MTSU since 2015 to gather statistics on homelessness in Murfreesboro to see how to better help.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what does homelessness look like in Murfreesboro, because it's hard to fix a problem if you don't know where it's coming from and if you don't know what's starting it. This is our most recent snapshot, and this is just from us personally, June and July, who we have given stuff to. 61% of who we're dealing with never graduated high school. And this is the grade level of what we're looking at of when they stopped school. 41% have been homeless less than 6 months. Statistically speaking, once you've been homeless more than 6 months, your likelihood of ever getting off the streets drops dramatically. 16% have been homeless between 6 months and a year, 12% 1 to 2 years, and 30% have been homeless 2 years or longer. The issue that we're facing is shelter. In our city, in Murfreesboro, right now, the only shelter options that we have got look like this. Salvation Army is the only option for families. It's they only have 4 rooms for families. That's it, 4. Single men, there are 24 beds available. It's the only option in the city of Murfreesboro for single men. 24 beds, that's all we've got. 18 of those beds are for their To Work program, and so they have to pay rent as part of that program, and they're only allowed to be there for a certain period of time. For single women, they have 6 beds at the Salvation Army. And then you've got women or women with children, all right? We've got Stepping Stones, but they max out at 12, and that includes kids. And then we've got Way of Hope, and they can reasonably host about 25, including children. Neither of those will take boys over the age of 12. So in the winter of 2016, 2017, we had 320 unique individuals that used the Coldest Night shelter. So that means only when it was 32 degrees or below, we know that there were at least 320 individuals, and this is only individuals over the age of 18, that had nowhere else to go in the city of Murfreesboro. So you guys just saw what the shelter bed situation looks like. That's 320 on top of that had nowhere else to go. And we know that there are a lot more people that never access those shelters. In 2016, about 2,000 people in Rutherford County did not have a home or were precariously housed on someone's couch or on the floor of the weekly rental, based on the 2015 numbers. About 40% of that number were represented by families with children.
Approximately 1,500 children registered in Rutherford County and Murfreesboro City Schools registered as homeless. This does not include their parents, older siblings, or children under the age of 5 who are not registered for pre-K.
Based on survey data from 2016, 81% of homeless individuals living on the street were male, and 19% of those were female.
That's Murfreesboro numbers.
This is only starting in the 20s, but this is the age breakdown of what that looks like. So where do people stay? This is like a little visual for you guys to see what that looks like. All right, so under a bridge, at some form of an encampment. So that's like a tent in the woods somewhere. They've set up camp right there. In their car, jail, at a shelter, or this many, and then different sites, which means that they can kind of move from place to place. And then this is what's unknown. So diagnosed health concerns. A large percentage had diagnosed health concerns such as alcoholism, seizures, cardiovascular disease, cancer, HIV or AIDS, physical disabilities like blindness, deafness, or being confined to a wheelchair. And that's not even scratching the surface. This is documented mental health issues. This is not across the board. This is people that have said, I have got a diagnosed, documented mental illness. So when we ask people, what's keeping you from getting in a house? This is what they say. They got misdemeanors or felonies. It's hard to get somewhere when you got a record. Credit history. This often impacts ability to open a bank account as well. They don't have deposit or down payment. They don't have identification, lack of transportation, unable to regularly wash clothes or take a shower. Using money for hotel room and not being able to save, disability, either physical or mental, lack of sleep, no safe place to sleep, unable to pass a drug test, lack of affordable housing, rising rent costs, and many others.
Homelessness is a community issue, and it'll take the whole community to solve the problem. There are many great organizations who are working to solve the problem. Please meet some of them and join us however way you can. And so what we saw when we saw this conversation happen on Facebook was a lot of people with a lot of suggestions, and a lot of people that had no idea what is going on, what is happening, and what kind of services are available.